Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Music Mondays. It's your boy Zom Slays, and I hope you're all well. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a very special episode. It's a very chill episode, and this is episode 76. So, happy holidays, happy 4th of July. We're kicking it, we're live in color. So, per usual, episode 75 is live on the channel. SoundCloud Sunday volume 37 is also live on our SoundCloud. Basically, this week's episode is going to be a more chill episode. I brought in a special guest. We're actually going to roll over submissions this week. So all submissions submitted this week will be reviewed next week live on episode 77. But it was the 4th. Everybody's kicking it with their family, shit like that. So I figured I'd still want to come on and give you guys a show. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna do. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my special guest, my good friend, my homie, and a very talented artist known as King Marc. Marc, welcome.
Hello, hello, hello.
How you doing today, Marc? Welcome to the Music Mondays podcast. This is the first time you've been on the show. How are you?
It is. I'm doing well. I just got off work a couple hours ago. Bedtime's here in a little bit.
Yep,
So
yep. Marc's always on that grind, man. So, for the people who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Who is King Marc?
um I'm just a little guy. No, I make music. I do a couple different like art forms, play video games, just kind of hang out. I mess around with some mycology a little bit.
Right,
So
right. Very, very big into the shroomies.
yeah. Do a little bit of work on that. So exciting things, exciting things.
For sure. Marc definitely always has his hands in a lot of stuff, man. A lot of stuff. So, um, we actually sat down and had a text interview probably, I want to say a month or two ago, if that. Probably about a month, maybe. But, yeah. I'm glad to finally get you on the show and we can dive into some more details about shit. We can dive into a lot of specifics, and we can just kick it, man. So, first things first, where are you from and how old are you, Marc?
So originally I'm from sorry for the hesitation.
Nah,
I'm
you're good, bro. Do your thing.
very
You're good.
very stoned. No, so like I originally come from Fremont County, Colorado. So I kind of generalize it as Fremont County because there's three, four individual like cities, towns, more so towns. They're all under, I think 30,000 is it's under 30,000 is the biggest. So it's still very small.
Right, right.
Um but that's Canyon City, Florence, Penrose, and then some people count Salida because it's in like the greater area. So you can count Salida if you want to, but I didn't hang
Hmm.
out in Salida as
But I
much.
wasn't counting that shit.
Yeah, I didn't really hang out there, but it was still in like the same judicial quote unquote district. So that's kind of where I grew up. I spent a lot of time like kind of traveling throughout Colorado. So like I've spent a little bit of time in Pueblo. I used to go to like Springs to go to shows, Denver to go to shows. I lived in Fort Collins for a little bit as well.
Right.
But yeah, that's kind of where I was from. I moved out here to the West Coast. I'm in Portland now. Won't specify like what suburb or anything like that, but just the greater Portland area.
Somewhere in
And
Portland, hidden in
yeah,
the sticks, hidden in the
yeah,
sticks.
yeah,
You
yeah.
place you won't ever find me.
Right. So yeah, I'm out here now. Just kind of kicking it, chilling at home for the most part. Like I go to work and then I come home, and that's really all I do.
For sure, for sure. Okay, so that's awesome. Now Colorado, and I mean, d- w- tell us a little bit about Colorado. What was that like growing up in your early years?
Um, it was interesting because I wasn't really into much of anything that I am now. Like honestly, my early years, I was quite a different person than I am now. I'd say between 18 and 20, I changed a lot, and then like 20 to now, I've changed a lot.
Right, right.
So like back when I was younger, I was in band, so like music was still a big part of my life. Didn't have very many friends growing up, and like nobody else that I was friends with made music or did this or that. Like I had one or two homies that would make music or like do kind of artsy stuff or whatever, but for the most part it was like go kick it with the homies, get high, play some video games, maybe kill a pizza or something.
Right, right. Usual shit.
Yeah, so just like usual shit, getting into some hood rat shit. Um, so like wasn't super popular or anything, so for the most part it was kind of chill. Didn't do super well in school, got kicked out at one point. Uh that's a whole bullshit ass story. We can get into that a little bit later. I won't drag it out too long. But got kicked out of school, ended up going doing like an alternative program and graduated. But yeah, I'd say most of my early years were just kind of like kicking it and trying to figure out who I am and who I was and just like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, doing
Much
my
like
thing.
everybody else. Yeah, for sure. For sure. So,
Yeah, yeah,
nothing
yeah.
too crazy there. When did you actually end up leaving Colorado?
Um, it was the worst time to leave actually. It's kind of a funny story. So like, beginning of 2020, right before the pandemic started, so like February is when we were starting to look and like kick it and like think about moving and whatnot because our lease was gonna come to an end and we were ready to like leave. And me and my roommate drive out here to look at a house, which is the one we're staying at now.
Right.
And we look at this house, we end up paying the down payment and everything, getting it all set up to move in like a couple weeks later. And we were planning on staying in Fort Collins at the time for another, I want to say 2, 3 weeks. And we end up going to fly back. We left the car here. We were going to go fly back. And it was the last day the airport was actually open at the time for other than like emergency flight type stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, we get back, we end up figuring out that like borders might shut down here in the end of the week. So we basically just rushed to get everything packed up and end up dipping out. So it was actually March 2020. We just packed everything up and dipped.
Oh wow. So like right at the height of COVID, or I guess the start, you could say.
Yeah, it was like it was just a couple days before they started shutting down like state borders.
Damn.
Yeah, it was
That's
crazy.
crazy.
Yeah. So we made it out here and then I've just been kicking it since then. Struggled getting like work or anything out here, which was crazy during COVID, but once everything started settling down a little bit, I was able to find something and we've just kind of been we've been chilling,
Awesome.
doing
That's awesome to hear. That's really really awesome to hear.
right.
Um
I'm grateful for sure.
yeah, yeah, of course. Um you said you started music a little bit earlier in your life. You were doing band stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like sixth grade is when I started doing band and I was in band until the same year that I got kicked out. I quit like the previous year to that, so I was only one semester in. I was like halfway through my second semester when they kicked me out.
Right, right.
But yeah, I was in band for a long time. Obviously, like elementary school, you had those band classes where you would learn to play like the recorder or like little stuff here and there to kind of teach you things about music as you have to in the school systems in elementaries. But like sixth grade started band. I played trombone actually all out like all throughout school.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
really awesome. So, when did you actually start making music of your own? Because, band in music school and like, school and music and shit like that is always a bit different than like, of course, creating your own music.
Yeah, so like I started, if you really want to go like early years, technically, we can go to the whole EJ Club World shit.
For sure, expand
Um
on that. Expand on that just because we talked
yeah.
about it already in our interview. So for those who don't know, talk about this.
So EJ Club World um was kind of created by this DJ. I don't remember where he's from, but his like stage name is EJ. And it is a DAW that you can use on the PlayStation 2, and it has a bunch of like samples and presets and everything, and like the UI at the beginning is a globe that like you kind of go to different places on the globe that were popular for a certain style of electronic music back in like the early 2000s, and
Damn.
each one of those would correspond with like BPM sets, a whole bunch of like vocal effect, or not vocal effects, but like vocal shots, drum shots, just loops, one shots, a bunch of samples and stuff.
Right.
So I started playing that because my dad would play it on the PS2 when I was young. So I started playing it when I was about like 6 years old, I want to say, and I played that for a while. And then my dad started making music on the computer when I was in like middle school, and he was using Linux Multimedia Studio. For those of you who know, who are really in the trenches.
Jesus.
Oh man. So I was making like dubstep esque stuff at that time because that's what I was into. I got really into like Skrillex and stuff in middle school when it was starting to like explode.
Right.
And Colorado, if you haven't heard, is like really big in the dubstep and like rhythm and all of those like super I guess dirty quote unquote EDM genres.
Definitely.
So I was doing that, just kind of messing around with that for a while, and then like stopped doing that. And there were a couple like year periods between these, and then in high school I started just like kind of freestyling, like doing dumb shit when me and the homies would get stoned.
Oh,
And
for sure, for sure.
yeah, we'd go like we'd be partying and it'd be a group of us, and we'd just like throw on a beat and just kind of bullshit around or whatever.
Dude, all the time. Who was that? Yeah, I was talking to Heretic about this shit. Yes, bro.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we would
Yes.
do like the same shit, and like at one point uh I decided to like start recording my own stuff because I already had recording equipment for doing before that I was doing YouTube videos, which a couple of people here, I think maybe one or two people have the channel name or a link to the channel, but
I'm sure
yeah,
they'll watch this if
that's
they're not here. Yeah, for sure.
right. So yeah, that's a little bit of a private one for like time capsule's sake. I like going back to it and kind of seeing what's there and what I used to be like.
Some old
And
throwback shit.
oh yeah, it's definitely some good times. So like I had a little USB mic and like kind of understood how to do audio stuff for like do the YouTube videos, and like I already know kind of video editing stuff from doing that, so they both kind of transponded over to each other, correlated a little bit.
For sure.
And I just decided one day to like kind of start recording stuff, and I have saved like my first uh song that I ever recorded, and it was used I recorded it on fucking, what was it, Audacity,
Oh
with a blue
man.
snowball.
The classics.
Oh, you already know. So that was back, I want to say like 2015, 2016.
Damn. So that's like a decent chunk of time there. That's wow. So like your creative experience not only goes back a while, but it goes back to a couple of different avenues, right? You have EJ, you have school. Um that's cool. That's cool. So when did you actually begin to release your own music? And did you release it as King Marc?
Um, so I started releasing my own music. Like I would release kind of little things here and there, making the EDM stuff.
Right.
Uh, real rare King Marc shit. I doubt this teacher will ever uh hear this at any point, but if he does and he still has it, I had a teacher in 8th grade. I don't remember his name, but he was a math teacher, and I gave him a burned CD of like 3 or 4 little like EDM tracks that I was making because I knew that he was kind of like into that music. And I think I might have given like 1 or 2 other people that same disc, but yeah, some crazy shit there.
That's awesome. That sounds like some 90s shit too, like just fucking burning CDs and just like handing them out at school type shit.
Yeah, for real. So like I was doing that kind of thing with the EDM shit. But I started releasing music what 2015, 2016. Like that first song I recorded was released at one point.
Right.
It's been taken down since then. But I started kind of taking everything seriously. I want to say when I moved to Fort Collins in like 2019.
Wow, so
And
pretty recently.
yeah, it's been more of kind of like the first couple years were just messing around and like fucking around with the homies at the house and just releasing shit and figuring things out. And then I went through a couple different uh I guess you could say hardships. Breakups is really what they were.
Hmm.
But I went through some shit and decided that like I really wanted to buckle down and figure this out and kind of figure the sound out and do kind of what I've always wanted to do with music and uh, do it seriously, I guess.
Right.
So it was a big step, I feel. I didn't really start even profiting off of anything until this year. This year is when I started like actually leasing beats and doing all that kind of thing.
That's
So like
awesome.
I've always kind of been connected to the underground community because I have a few friends that I've made. Shout out like Spooky Gang, Young Kel. We went to, or I flew out to Spooky Fest and met up with a bunch of them. I knew Kel previously before that, uh, but like a couple internet people that I have connected with and like talked to and whatnot. So like I knew some people in the underground, and so I wasn't. I guess you could say completely unaware of what was going on. I was just not like super involved in it.
Right, you just weren't in the space yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So 2019 was the year that everything really started to take a turn for Mark, and you said, "Fuck it, I'm going to start taking this shit serious." Well, 2022 has been quite the year so far. We've reviewed a lot of your work here on Music Mondays, and all of it has been extremely unique, extremely well done, and you are extremely consistent. And you know, there's a lot of things I preach here on the show, and that's definitely one of them. Um, what are your plans for the summer and the rest of the year?
Um, just keeping on the same schedule really. I feel like the schedule that I have now allows for a lot of freedom to like create. So I don't have to worry so much about like uh pushing out as much as a lot of other people do, I guess, and it still keeps kind of like the content fresh.
Right.
So I feel like just kind of keeping on that. We're getting music videos rolled out. I have a couple new merch designs coming out. Just overall, kind of keeping doing the same stuff. Not much changing, not much picking up. I'm gonna be trying to maybe get some shows going, but other than that, just kind of keep going with what I'm doing. Get some more marketing going, and maybe do a little bit more promo. But
Love that. That's awesome. That's what I love to fucking hear, man. So it seems like you've had a decent 2022 so far, to be honest with you. We've reviewed so much content from you, and it's only getting better. So let's talk about your creative process. How long would you say does it take for you to actually release, record, and get a song to where you feel it's comfortable for release?
It varies a lot, honestly. So like, there's some songs that I've made 30 minutes, everything like said and done. Find the beat, uh, end up leasing it and everything, have it ready to release in 30 minutes. To I have some projects that I've been working on for weeks at a time,
Right.
months sometimes. So like I'd say more average a couple days, maybe like 2, 3 days. One to kind of do a more like raw recording, kind of a layout framework kind of recording. Second one is to be able to like sing it but following that same structure, so it's not you're not getting lost or anything like that. And then another day just to do like a full master, full mix.
Damn. Yeah, see, because everybody has their creative process, right? And it's always good to touch base with that because everybody's process is always different. So it's always interesting to see a little bit of insight on there.
Right. Yeah. Mine's nothing too complicated. I
For
tend to
sure.
follow a pretty like similar structure to most other tracks that I've made.
Right, right. You've been working with a lot of artists in the Music Mondays community and a lot of artists in general, from old friends, new friends, old artists, new artists. Now, who are some of your favorite artists to work with right now in 2022, July?
Right now, um, I love working with Bloodcat. Uh, Always consistent. I feel like we had a good run of songs that we were releasing for a while
Right.
together. Um, Me and Cole, I love working with Cole. We go back quite a ways, honestly. Shout out Cole. I think he might be in the chat. But we
That's
go
all cool.
back, right. We go back what is it? 2019. We met in Fort Collins at well, not Fort Collins, but at a skate park like near Fort Collins. And we did some work back, I want to say 2019, 2020. Or
Damn.
yeah. So we have some tracks from way back.
Right.
Um Really just everybody. Absono does some crazy beats. I love the work that he does. Kale makes some crazy beats. Still waiting on this heretic feature, so that's a to be determined.
Yo, actually, mad funny you bring that up. That should definitely be coming soon. That should definitely be coming soon, for sure.
Oh, I hope so. That shit gonna be fucking French kiss.
Yeah,
Just
it is. Definitely. Definitely. Hey, huge shout out to Cole, man. Let's get it, baby. Um, so yeah, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Such a great group of artists, great group of friends, great group of personalities, man. Truly. So we're chilling here. We're on the Music Mondays podcast. Let's talk visuals. Visuals.
yeah.
Because visuals for King Marc have been stellar and they've been getting better and better and better. And the recent visual you sent in with Absono, let's talk a little bit about that. Tell us how it almost made your PC die. What's going down with some of your recent drops here that we've talked about on Music Mondays?
All right, so I'll give the breakdown of just how bad it is to edit on this computer. My build was like a budget build back in 2014, 2015. So I'm running a 750 Ti with a 4670K i5 and
Jeez.
8 gigs of RAM. So like it's not horrible, but it's not good. Like
Yeah.
it's scraping by right now. It's rough. So I'll like throw up the editor. I'd be using Kden. I don't know if many people know it. Kden Live. It's a like open source, free to use software. And when I put too many like visuals or too many like heavy edits on things,
Hmm.
excuse me, my lungs got a little dry. If I put too many like heavy edits on anything or I layer too many things together, my playback gets limited to like 2 or 3 frames a second.
Jesus.
So it just like stutters, but it's not like lagging stutter. It's just however many frames it can actually process at a time because my processor is obviously limited to my specs. So yeah, I'm saving like after every little edit that I make just in case because I've had a few crashes. Um I don't really see what the final product is until after I render it out.
That's so funny.
Yeah, so it's super great. But no, I'd say like my process for doing videos more so the editing because I feel like just shooting a lot of the visual stuff isn't super complicated. You
Right.
can get super complicated with it, but I feel pretty straightforward with mine, just like tripod camera, boom boom.
Yeah.
But just heavy on edits. I do a lot of like saturation stuff, a lot of hue shifting. Um, I do a lot of like opacity changes and layering multiple videos over top of each other and changing the opacity of each one. So the balance for the video changes in certain spots depending on like what's more up front and what's more kind of in the background.
Which is so dope. It's so dope. I really love that style. Truly.
So yeah, I take a lot of inspiration from like kind of that vaporwave, young lean, like old 2016 aesthetic with like kind of if you've seen any, I'm sure you have, but if anybody else has seen any of the like Lil Soda Boy super like Y2K kind of esque videos and just kind of like mash those together and get that kind of like blend of style with that. And I feel like that's where I take kind of I'd say 90% of my inspiration, and then obviously kind of throw a mix of my own stuff in there.
Shit like that is so dope though. Like I feel like that style and like aesthetic is super timeless, especially when it comes to like independent art because you can always put your new spins on it, and that's what I really feel like you did with this recent visual. So that's why I had to ask about it. Um, yeah, so you've definitely had the struggle set up, but that doesn't matter because your content output is still amazing. Your content quality is still amazing. So it really goes to show that, you don't really have to let your setup limit what you can do. You know what I mean? Just work with what you got. And Mark is living proof of that. Mark literally just told you about how his PC almost fucking blew up, and yet this visual actually came out pretty fucking good. You know what I mean? So you get
For sure.
you got to tip it.
Oh, I appreciate that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean like all of my music equipment besides my like studio monitors and headphones are all used or like pawn shop finds or garage sale finds or
Hand me
just like shit that I
downs.
found on Facebook or like
Yep.
stuff like that. I have a few things that I bought new that I couldn't find used obviously, but 90% of my music equipment pawn shop finds. I found a P220 the AKG P220 for $70 at a pawn shop.
Man, that's awesome. What the fuck?
Yeah, so like I am a huge advocate. Everybody go to your local pawn shops, your local used musician stores, like just go shopping there and honestly like 9 times out of 10 you'll find some pretty decent music equipment for a pretty good steal.
Yeah, literally. Literally. That's awesome. What the fuck? Okay, so yeah, we've had a banger year from you. We talked about your early roots a little bit. We talked about what's coming in 2022. Let's talk about your overall future and what King Mark, what music, and what everything means to you. Now, besides being financially stable, that's obviously the first goal is becoming financially stable with your own art. Everybody wants to do that, and that's what everybody will do as long as they continue. But besides that, besides financials, what do you want to accomplish with your music?
Realistically, like my whole goal, and I've always preached this since the beginning, is I do it for like just the love of music. Um, I've been to I don't know how many shows at this point, and like the feeling of seeing somebody that has made an impact on my life is something that I can't really like describe or bring into like a comprehensible way of saying it. But music's like really just the reason why I'm still here. And I just want to be able to kind of like pass that along, be able to do that for somebody else. Regardless of like whether it's something that like they relate to or they think is cool, or I just want to be able to kind of touch people in a way that's not like forgettable, kind of sticks around. I'm not really looking for like super big fame. I don't really care for that. I don't care if I'm like getting stopped on the street or anything like that. But having a good handful of people that are like, yo, this shit really like changed my perspective on a lot of shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I absolutely know what you mean. And that's one thing I, because I've been around the space for a little over 5 years now, and that's one thing I look for in newer guys, right? Is when they say that what exactly you just said was that feeling of almost like the Santa Claus like feeling of seeing somebody that um you supported their music for years and you see them live and just that aura and the energy and things like that you can't buy and things like that you can't replicate, you just can't. And when people say that to me, that's how I know that they really care about their music and music in general and their supporters. You know what I mean? Like that's how I know that people do because it's bigger than financials because everybody wants to take care of their family. Everybody wants to get out the trenches. Everybody knows that bullshit. But when it comes to actually making a stand for what your music means and why you do this, that's like the perfect answer. And to actually mean it though, you know what I mean? And that's awesome. That's like super super fucking important.
Oh, 100%. And that's, I mean, from day one, that's always been my answer.
Mhm.
It's just one of those things where it's like music has impacted me to the point where I like I feel without it, I would be probably living a very, very different life.
Right. I agree. I can wholeheartedly agree with that for sure. Cause like I'm definitely one of those people that, listens to music and there are whole albums and songs and things like that, you know, that get you through hard times, but also you can't go back and listen to because they were so important to you. So like there are so many